The next sort of important concept is task scheduling, and that's done with the cron utility, and it has a sort of interesting format. So we'll go over that quickly. The first, just quickly, how you create a cron tab is just cron tab tag E, and then you have, well, let's look at an example. Look a quick example first. Let's because cron tabs are stored in slash /etc /cron, and then there's some different places they can be stored. /etc /cron tab is sort of the default location for all of them, and cron.d is the daemon. Cron daily, hourly, monthly, weekly, these are for cron jobs that run every day, hour, month, or week. As you can see, I have two defaults here, 0 hourly and 0 anacron. Those are sort of to be expected on all systems, so if you see them, don't freak out. That's just a default. But real quick, let's just cat etc cron tab. It looks like I can read it, and we can see some interesting and strange looking things. We can see here the man pages cron and cron tab. We can see a little bit more information about this, but let's just get into sort of what these things are. This is minute, hour, day of the month, month of the year, day of the week. This is the user that executes the command, and this is the command that gets executed. So let's just create a quick cron tab for my TM user. So we do that with cron tab tag E for edit. Let's say cron tab that will demonstrate how this will work. And what this is just a quick script that literally I just wrote it to test the cron job, and so that will be what's executed on the 36th minute of every hour of every day of every month. So that would be put into the daily cron. Let's take a look at that. So that's cron tab tech L to list users cron tabs. And some other important command line flags are, you can look at other people's cron tabs with the tag U root, which is helpful. Another interesting thing is you could write a for loop to basically list all the users, which you can get from the etc password file. And then you could look at all of the cron tabs on the system, because there are a few places, again, that cron tabs could be seen. But real quick, ls cron test, it was created on the 36th minute of the first hour of the day, but the hour doesn't really matter because it will be running on every hour of every day. But so let's try and find this cron tab in these files, and as we can see, it's probably not going to be an hourly or anacron because those are defaults. But if we and it won't be an etc cron tab because that's where, because you directly edit this file for you can either directly edit this file, or you could use up here cron tab tech E to use the VI editor to edit the file. It's generally recommended to use cron tab tag E If I'm not mistaken, you can do something like, do I not have nano installed? Okay, so that would explain it. Yeah. You can change the editor. If you don't like VI, you can change the editor using editor equals and whatever you want, and then cron tab tech E, and that can just help run that a little easier. If you're not familiar with the VI text bindings, or key bindings rather, that might cause some problems, but you can set this to any editor you want. You could also set it to nano if you like. I just don't have that installed at the moment, so I obviously can't use it. But that's a little bit of a tangent. We're still looking for where my cron tab is. So another spot they can be is var spool cron. And here we see TM, which looks hopeful. Or, well, no, now it's not LS. And there we can see it's in var spool cron. But that kind of shows why cron tab tech L is helpful, because there are a couple places cron tabs can be var spool cron, etc cron tab, or any of these directories. So tech L will look through all of them and will list the cron tabs owned by a user. Now quickly, to remove cron tabs, you use tech R, and as you can see, there are backups of these cron tabs, but they're not particularly, at least in this instance, I'm never going to need to access the backups, but if you do, it will kind of tell you where those are. But let's look at this a little further, and let's try and make some other cron tabs, for example. So this, in order to run every weekday once an hour from 9 to 5. So that's going to be, basically every hour of like a work week, for example. What you would do here is you'd put 0 to run on the 0th minute of the hour. You would then do 9-17 because it uses cron uses a 24-hour clock for the hour, and then the date of the month could be anything, the month of the year could be anything, and then the weekday 1 through 5, that is Monday through Friday. And then you would just enter whatever command you'd like to run there. And this will, if you're editing the cron tab file directly, you do need to specify a user. But this would run a command once an hour, every day, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's just and that's how you would do that in cron. Say you just want something to run, let's say every Friday at 5 p.m. Well, the 0th minute of the 17th hour, these middle two could be wildcarded, and then 5. And that's how you would do it, and this would run command as the root user. And then what if you want to run something more often than once an hour? Well, star divided by 15 is this will run a command every 15 minutes. So instead of looking for whether or not instead of looking for a specific minute of the hour, this will run every 15 minutes. So the 15, the 30, the 45, and the 60. One cautionary word is cron will only try and run once every minute. So if you were to go down here and change this to something like 120 and try to run it twice a minute, it just wouldn't work, because cron only tries to run once a minute. Another thing I spelled it wrong, but another thing to check is if your cron isn't working, make sure your service is running. On most systems it will be cron or cron D rather than cronny, but that's just what I have. And as you can see, it's active. But if you disable it, obviously cron will not work anymore. So that's sort of the basics of how to run scheduled tasks on Linux. Typically it's done with cron. There are some alternatives, but if you want to dig into that, you might need to look into some more of that other stuff on your own. And yeah, that's the basics of cron.